And I'm gonna
cool.
shoot it out to the world here. So feel free to banter as I share it to social media.
We are here. Happy to be here for my first podcast on the TCC.
Not your first podcast.
Not my first podcast. Chronicles, I guess that's the way you'd want to say it.
Yeah, I think you could say the TCC podcast. Crystal Chronicles podcast.
Yeah. The Crystal Chronicles, why not?
General live streams. Here we go. There is music playing that you guys can't hear.
Wait. I'll just be rocking out to my imaginary music here.
As I share this to all the other discards. Oh, all these major content creators. Yes, this is the thank you, Yin. Welcome, Yin. This is the only official podcast for Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. Officially unofficial podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at my Discord ping jumping all over the place. It just has like moments where it goes like, "Hey, your ping's 1,000 for a second. Now it's back to 10." Okay, Discord.
Yeah, I get those with a tier 1 sub. Thank you. 22 months.
Hey, Soraya, thanks.
Hey, he's in it to win it. That's it right there.
Martyr is here. Excalibur is here. Extra credit counter is here. Got a lot of questions in the podcast questions. There we go. Question about how many people have Wafu pillows, Husbando pillows. Tree Void subscribing for tier 1 for 15 months. Thank you. Poto Cedar is here in chat on YouTube. Very nice. So Martyr's not lonely. And on Discord. Double duty.
It's an intern's job.
Yeah, that's the life. That's the life. Fade Into Gaming. What's up? Everybody check out Fade Into Gaming on Twitch. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, you were before we came live, everybody, you were missing some spicy trading card game conversation. Now, Poto Cedar, you also have some trading card game experience, correct? You have collected some cards in the past?
Yes. Collecting wise, I've only really collected Pokemon cards, but like from TCG standpoint, I play Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic.
Yeah.
And I basically play everything. It's ridiculous. I have too many decks of every card.
That's the fun part, though.
It is the fun part.
Oh, there's different friend groups for different series.
Absolutely. The one thing I will say is it's a shame because out of all the games I play, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic, Pokemon, all that stuff, Dragon Ball card game has my favorite mechanics, and not enough people play that game. So I'm finding it hard to find people to play with. But that game has very good mechanics.
Yeah, I have a couple. I gotta find where they are. I have a couple of the starter decks just to kind of get a sense of how the game actually plays, because you have to kind of dig on the rules and like find them online.
Yeah,
but it seems
interesting. Did you know, Mark,
interesting
that they have a? Yeah, did you know they actually have an app for Dragon Ball Super card game, and they literally give you a starter deck, and you play with the starter deck, and they teach you all the rules in game. Which is
wow!
Cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
I wish they had a real app where you could like build decks, like
right.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, but for Dragon Ball, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It took Yu-Gi-Oh! Long enough to get the Master Duel. It was kind of crazy, but now we got it, so it's all good.
No one plays Final Fantasy. I know Joe collects the Final Fantasy cards and has some, but I don't know. Do you play the game?
I don't play. I know Josepher did. Like, that's what his channel was.
Yep.
Like, Josepher did, and he went to tournaments. I just like the artwork on them. You know, my buddies are trying to get me in the Digimon. I'm like, dude, I play like 7 card games. I can't keep doing this. Can't keep doing this. But I love the art on the Final Fantasy card game, so I'm getting a bunch graded right now, actually.
How long has the Digimon card game been out for a long time?
The new, like the revamped version has not been out that long.
Okay.
I want to say maybe a year or two. And you know, people like it. That game also has a very balanced mechanic because it's all about like you have so much energy to spend, but you can overspend. But if you overspend, then your opponent gets extra energy on their turn. So it's a constant like weighted balance. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I've seen it in the stores recently. So yeah.
Yep.
Digimon was a little past my time.
Yeah, it's got a huge following. I was always turned off by Digimon as a franchise just because I felt like it was the copycat to Pokemon, and it's like, I don't know. But there's a huge fan base for it, so I'm not gonna like diss on Digimon. Like it's good, it's legit. But I just remember as a kid, I'm like, I saw Digimon, I'm like, isn't this just Pokemon? Like, don't we already have this? So that was kind of my thought back in the day. So I never got into it.
This may be what divides the community permanently. Pokemon versus Digimon.
Yeah.
Right. That's our podcast now. It's just Pokemon versus Digimon. That's it.
That's what we're here to talk about, folks, tonight. That's it. Is it Pokemon? Is it Digimon? I had Muscle Men. I predate both of those things. So we had I had these little rock paper scissor guys that you had little like things on their chest you rubbed, and it was like rock paper scissor, like elemental. So you know you kind of played that way. And Muscle Men. So that was pretty.
You know, Mark, you and I think are about the same age. Yeah, I was gonna say I think you and I are about the same age. So you probably were with me with the Garbage Pail Kids. Did you have those?
Yeah, sure. Garbage Pail Kids. Yeah.
Yes. Let's collect cards with really gross things on them. That's what boys like, you know.
No, Pokemon, I think, came to the United States when I was graduating high school. The card game.
Yep.
So I remember base set first edition in the comic book store that I worked at, that I played Magic, Warhammer, comics, all that kind of stuff. And I remember kids playing it and seeing all the cards and not having any idea what it was, and it seemed very simple because it was very simple. The original game was very slow and very simple.
Oh yeah.
The new game is like, it's the same game, but it's so much faster. Like, it is a fast game. You do not have, not like, the original Star Wars trading card game where, or the Babylon 5 trading card game where everything was 5 hours long. The Star Wars, the
every
original
card
Star
game
Wars
is a game of Risk, essentially.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Axis and Allies,
That's right.
A 7-week
let's sit
campaign.
down. 2 hours later, our game board is finally set up. Now let's take a break and then actually play the game.
Yeah, let's go to dinner. Come back.
Come back, actually start playing.
Yeah, one of the community colleges where I went to college had a class on the board game Axis and Allies, and they said by the end of the semester you finished one game.
Oh my gosh. That's wild.
Great game. Who doesn't love Axis and Allies? We're playing that right now. Seems to be we're rehashing that game.
Yeah, the Axis are Digimon, the Allies are Pokemon, right? That's what we're doing? Yeah.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Nice deflection. I appreciate that. Hey, well, we got some people. We got you. Again, if my voice cuts out, it's not going to cut out on the recording. So just jump in when you feel like you can. And we work around it. I'll wait to re-speak if you want to hear clarifying things. But let me stop the music. I can remember how to do that. There we go. Let me stop the music. And we'll take a deep breath and we'll start the show. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome everyone to episode 210 of the Crystal Chronicles, your Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast, recorded on October 27th. Happy Halloween, 2022. I'm your host, Mark. Regrets from my co-host, Mino. He is under the weather. I hope you're all staying safe. We got COVID, we got RSV, which is a type of cold most of us get and don't know it, but it's become much worse because we've all not gotten sick the last couple of years, and flu season all going. We got a tridemic happening, and who's not looking forward to a good tridemic? So he's a little under the weather, but we are not abandoned. We are not alone. We have some great friends with us. First is the TCC intern himself, Poto Cedar. Poto, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, Mark. I'm glad to be back. I think this is my fourth time on the show. I'm not Netlord's levels as a premium guest yet, but I'm working my way up.
Thank you. And we're also joined by a new friend. I talked a little bit early, but yeah, for sure. So I've got my own channel on YouTube, and I do Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, and I do Dokkan Battle. So if you play both games, it's a great channel to get both experiences. I've been kind of specializing in character guides. These default characters get quite complex, so I like to do very simple, easy to learn guides just on how to play the characters. And I also host the Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle podcast over on 5-9 Gaming. And it's kind of nice to be a guest for once and not a host. So that's kind of cool there, right? So I'm very happy to be here. Big fan of the show. One of my goals when I started my channel was just maybe one day I'll be on that podcast. And here it is. My dream has come true. So happy to be here with you, Mark.
Yes, we're happy to have both of you here, Poto and Joe, with us. And thank you, Bob's in the comments. Thank you for your thank you for your love on the videos. And sorry I didn't get that October guide. I hope you pulled Renoa. She's awesome. We're going to talk about all that here today. A little bit of back and forth about just general news of the day. We've got a lot of stuff that we've covered since our last time together, because we've taken a couple weeks off. I had some family stuff going on. Thank you all who have wished well and good vibes and thoughts and prayers for my daughter. She's doing well and home and recovering, and so I appreciate all of your good energy with that. So it goes. But we do have a Halloween event that is ongoing, just kind of the standard bonuses, login, panel rewards, all that kind of stuff, your standard bugs, and we have tons of new costumes. So since the last time we've met, we got Renoa's really weird holiday Valentine's costume with the special ultimate weapon gloss with the little cherubs floating above her. You also have a Aerith dress costume to go with the Tifa dress costume. And we also have Halloween weapon glosses. One of them is new. I think the special ultimate weapon one is new. But we also have tons of returning costumes and tons of returning weapon glosses. Just overload. If you're trying to collect all the weapon glosses, you probably needed to pick and choose because there's just so many. I know for myself, I got Renoa. I got her weapon gloss. I got Aerith. I haven't gotten any of the Halloween ones yet. I've missed those to the point. But Cedar, anything just about the Halloween event or the costume just injection this month? What's your take on those things? Do you just skip that stuff entirely, or any of these you really like?
Always for cosmetic stuff, because as long as it's not a pay to win type thing, I just love any type of cosmetics. But personally, I'm free to play. I always say whenever I'm in a better financial situation, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, and I've been saying that for years now. So I might as well just say I'm going to start buying stuff when end of service gets announced.
There you go. Joe, how do you approach that side of the game? And there are any of these that you particularly like?
Yeah, so I am known to buy a good costume or two if there's a character I like. I'm definitely willing to go in on that. For the current characters, I actually wasn't too inclined to buy any of these ones in particular. and even Tifa who came out. Like some of them, I just really like the original outfit, so I don't really want to change. I'm a sucker for Final Fantasy VI, so I think I bought every Final Fantasy VI costume. That's my favorite Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VI, best Final Fantasy, right? Such a great game. Weapon glosses, I've never really been turned on by the weapon gloss, and I think part of it for me is like I really like showing off my BTs, my FRs, my Ultima weapons, there hasn't been a weapon class that I'm like I must have. I think the closest one I pulled the trigger on was like the Moogle Fist. I think that's just hilarious. Tifa punching with twin Moogles, but in terms of the campaign itself, it's just always nice. Like Defoe's good about rolling around regular campaigns. One of my favorite parts about campaigns is just getting the ×2 on all the crystals, especially when your crystals get low from upgrading or refining all your spheres. I like the free multi-draws, all that stuff. So yeah, just being in a campaign is awesome. Love all the events, but these particular costumes haven't bought any, but I will buy a good costume if I like them.
Yeah, who wouldn't love this Renoa costume with the terrifying cherubs behind her? I put that up on screen if you haven't seen it. The one cool thing about this costume is her wings change color. So when she does the angel wings in game, at the actual fights, they are a different color. They're kind of a purple or pink wing. That's kind of cool. I don't know that we've had other costumes that have actually changed in-game effects, but her wings are different colors. So, but it is a weird and ridiculous costume. But I bought it because because Renault is my favorite character, and I have all her costumes. So
Mark, if I can jump in for a quick second, I just noticed something. So the twins use unique weapons. So you could bring out the twins, and we could make it a goal to get the most characters on the screen at once. You can have the twins with the two cherubs, and then when they get their FR, you can have an FR character come in with the twins and the cherubs. Let's get 5 characters in one slot. I think that should be our goal.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
There's also Yuri and Shalinka.
Yeah, Yuri and Shalinka too. I was just thinking about that. Like, how ridiculous. How many characters can we get on the screen at once?
Yeah, that's much. That's too much. That's too much.
There we go. They each get their own cherub. See?
Yep.
They're proud parents. Proud parents.
Yeah. Well, and that's fitting in game, in universe. They each have their own little thing that I don't know the name of because I have never played that game. And I don't feel bad about that. So, but I know it is a great game and a lot of people do like it. So, well, hey, Redbeard's here. The party can start. Woohoo! Hey, let's talk about characters. We have a lot of characters. I'm gonna actually scroll over to the nice banner that Podoceder spends so much time making for these different slides that I always forget to do. So as you can see, we have 4 characters to talk about. We're going to talk about, if either one of you want to talk about Golbez or Garland, go ahead. They got their C90s and reworks, but we already have them. We kind of know what they do. So I just want to stick to the FRs for most of my conversation. And let's start with the one that you cannot pull right now, except for her BT. Her FR banners are gone, unfortunately, but that is Renoa. Man, Renoa has had a kind of torrid history here in Defo. She was kind of good and then stopped being good and then kind of got good again and then not so good. But now she's back. She's got a BT and she's got an FR weapon, and she's become just a ridiculous magic damage dealing powerhouse. If you're not familiar with her BT effect, it's got all the bells and whistles, but the big thing, it gives her 6 charges of a brand new modified HP attack that does up to 9 dumps, huge brave gains between each hit, just massive damage. Her FR also does massive damage because if you just kind of run it with her, she increases damage when she does magic brave damage on her turn, when the active member has a special effect on, and when the active member is under 100% of their health. And so she can jump up hers over 80% every round and go right into a BT phase, use 6 versions of that Ultima Wing, and just melt bosses. So we've had 2 just crazy damage dealers. Tifa, the melee damage dealer, Renoa, the magic damage dealer, Tifa single target, Renoa AoE damage. We can dig into whatever, but she's just stupid powerful, stupid broken, special weapon. So a lot of you already have ultimate weapon for that. You probably don't need me to go on. I mean, she's literally my favorite character. I got my Renoa right here. She is my favorite character in Final Fantasy. Period. But she's ridiculously broken. I'm super happy. Cedar, what are your thoughts on Renoa?
So at first, I was really debating on who is the better damage dealer, Tifa or Renoa, and like I kept using Tifa. I'm like, no, there's no way Renoa can beat her. But I finally got Renoa's BT on this Arden banner, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna see what the hype is about. I fully built her, and I've converted. Renoa is just the better damage dealer. I'm sorry. I'm I know there's a lot of Tifa simps out there, and redirect your hate mail to Mino because he's not here right now. But Renoa, in my opinion, is the better damage dealer.
Well, she's doing AoE damage, and I think that's one of her big, her big pros. But the damage output is just so ridiculous. I think there can be some debate though. I haven't run them back to back to kind of see who can bump up that, but I think she tends to bump her own gauge up a little bit higher than Tifa. So that damage gets a little bit bigger. Thank you, Indolent Lard. Everybody check out our good friend Indolent Lard. Tree Void and Soraya the Ranger subscribed earlier. Indolent Lard says, Crevasse, no whip code. Hello, everyone. Joe, what are your thoughts? Again, if you haven't checked out Joe Wags on YouTube, he's been doing guides for all these characters, so really good work there. So what are your thoughts on Renoa, Joe, and what's your experience with her?
Renoa melts enemies. She blows up fights, makes them very, very easy. Renoa, to me, like, her timeline in the game is kind of like a sandwich. She started off as like a top tier DPS. I remember on her original drop, brave damage plus AoE damage like together was very rare. That's kind of like that thing that air and because Renoa dropped before Aranea. So like it was before that power creep, and when she was just dropping HP pluses that were just AoE melting, like that was insane. So I feel like she was pretty insane when she first dropped, and then she was very mellow in the middle, like not that great, like up to the top again. What I would say in this, Renoa Tifa debate, we talk about this a lot in the Dokkan community, but like I don't know why people always feel the need to like constantly tier list and rank characters versus each other. I think characters should be ranked on like tier levels, but not versus each other. So if you told me Renoa is better than Tifa, I would say sure. If you told me Tifa is better than Renoa, I would say sure. But the way I would rank them is they are on, like, in terms of DPS characters, Renoa and Tifa are on a separate tier on the very top on their own. And then any other DPS, you could talk about Tidus, you could talk about, Terra, whatever. They're going to be on some tier somewhere down below. But they are both tippity top tier DPS characters. And I think, as was mentioned earlier, basically whichever one's going to do more damage is going to depend on how many enemies are in the fight. I'd say if you got 2 or more enemies, Renoa is more often than not going to outdamage Tifa. If you're doing single target fight though, Tifa is going to outdamage Renoa. So I would say that they're both very good top tier characters. I advise most players to pull one, if not both of them. Obviously, you don't have that choice now, but they're absolutely insane characters. And then something that Mark brought up earlier about when you use the BT effect, and that's how he gets that powerful HP plus, which is what Renoa has. But Renoa's is not tied to the BT buff. It's just you use her BT and you get 6 uses of it. It's very similar like how Lena gets her special HP attack, just so people are clear on that. But yeah, Renoa's busted. She melts enemies.
Yeah, you definitely, you can maximize her damage by hitting her BT and then having her BT effect active during her BT phase. And then she's fairly self-sufficient. But if you have enough support behind her, you can pop her BT and then have those 6 uses whenever you want them, which is nice. Very, very nice. Like you said, I think that's a great point. As Martyr reminded us, and so maybe we'll do it like this. I'll just have one of you do this. Every week when we talk about FRs, we have a little segment where I make Mino tell us why these two are paired together. So, Poto Cedar, why are Renoa and Yuna FR partners?
Go the easy route and just say that they are both the heroines from their own game.
Here's the real reason, because they're my 2 favorite characters right here on screen. They are the only 2 besides, of course, Edward, the Spoony Bard, the only 2 Final Fantasy figures, and of course all the figures that are behind me here that I have. But these are real old. These are old play art figures from Squex. These are official Squex, but these are like from the early 2000s. This Renoa and this Yuna. But I will say, this animation and the next animation, the Aerith animation. No, actually, the Belthier animation, too. Those 3 FR animations are really, really good. Like, the Renoa animation is awesome. The Aerith animation is awesome. The Belthier animation is awesome. I hate Arden. I don't hate Arden, but I wasn't impressed by his animation particularly. It's okay. But I really, really like these 3 animations quite a bit, so... well, hey, thank you. Let's go on to, so Joe, you're going to be on next, the next FR pair, just to give you some thought here. Let's move on to Aerith. Aerith comes back with a fancy dress, and beautiful dress. I bought her her costume. I think I got her up here. If you haven't seen it in person, the red dress. If I can find her here, if I can scroll, I can't do that. Why am I not scrolling? But yeah, Aerith comes back with her FR. If you're not familiar with Aerith, she's your base healer. Oh man, I'm terrible at sorting here. Let's just go to Final Fantasy VII. Why is sorting so hard? Here we go. She's your basic support, battery healer, magic attacker. Of course, she has the prevents the enemy from debuff, that what's it called, planet's admonition, and she gets an FR, and Aiko is going to be her partner. So when we get to Joe, make sure you tell us why Aiko's her partner. It heals the party, and hers fairly simple to upgrade. Her damage increases based on using a transform brave or HP attack, which covers a lot of characters. Or if an ally is batteried on the turn, or if you battery an ally on the turn, if she does it, it's 40%. If anybody else does it, it's 20%. So if Aerith takes a turn, generally speaking, you use her Seal Evil, Seal Evil HP attack, and that batteries the party. Well, maybe that doesn't battery the party. I think it does battery the party. And it can increase fairly well. You just got to be careful. So it's not the hardest condition, but it's also not the best condition. But Aerith's pretty solid. Man, I pulled her. I have all these FRs fully upgraded. The 4 that we're talking about today. I don't know how many times I would use Aerith or even use Aerith in the party, just because we're not really at a point where you need a lot of you need a lot of healing and battery, but her debuff is still really good for preventing enemies from buffing if that's an issue and you really don't want the enemies to buff. Other than that, she's just kind of a solid support character. But yeah, Poto, what are your thoughts on Aerith?
Honestly, I was surprised on the damage output of Aerith. Like, her HP plus, is it triple plus now? Yeah, it's triple plus. Just turns out so much damage for all the support that she's giving out. And the Seal Evil debuff, just the fact that, enemies can't buff themselves. I think out of supports, you almost can't ask for somebody better unless you're doing, like, no turn comps, where at that point you'd just be, doing a cane in the air or something. But I really enjoy Aerith. I can't wait for her BT that's been released in JP, and I'm definitely going to be pulling on that. Joe, do you have anything to say about Aerith?
Yeah, Aerith is I think a very good solid support character, and my theory on characters like this is I would rather have more support characters than DPS characters. I think DPS characters are a dime a dozen, and as we're seeing with events like Crevasse, you're going to need a big roster. So if you're like a newer player or a mid-range player and you're looking to build up a roster, I think Aerith is an extremely nice pickup for that. Sure, Luna Freya is a better support. Some could even argue Garnet's a better support. Like, there's good supports out there, but Aerith is a nice pickup, and she has a very, very easy to use force effect. every character in their mom does a transform HP attack. Literally, HP plus counts as a transform HP attack. Does not have to have a special name. Battery on turn. A bajillion characters will battery on turn. So she's a very flexible FR, and she's a really great one if you want to build up your account for lockout events. I really, really like that. And she is doing she has a lot of longevity because you're mostly pressing HP pluses. And the way she protects and batteries the battery really helps you push your FR damage too, especially if you're comboing with a selfie launch. And you keep that battery capped out on launch, you're doing a ton of damage. So I think Aerith is a very good. I would say I don't know if her banner is still up, but I would say of current characters, she's like the best support you can pick up right now, for sure.
Joe, why are Aiko and Aerith partners?
Mark, this is a very simple answer. Simply that basically Aerith keeps Aiko nearby because when Sephiroth comes to kill her, Aiko can instantly revive her with her LD effect.
Oh, that's a good, that's a good reason. That's a good reason.
For sure. I mean, I would keep Aiko next to me if I knew I was supposed to die from Sephiroth. So
yeah, I'd probably just die. I'd just take the loss at that one if it meant not having Aiko around. I imagine, little kids, they're kind of annoying. I think they live with them.
I think they data mine Final Fantasy Remake the new episodes and Aiko's going to be in the game, so maybe Aerith will survive this time around.
That's how it happens. That's how it happens. That's
right.
Again, as we move on, TonberryTroupe.com for all the infographics. You can also check out the podcast polls. I won't dig into those because we have got a lot of banners. But thank you, J.A and Quetzalma, for that. We'll come back to those next time we meet, and hopefully Mina will be back with us. But TonberryTroupe.com, of course, beautiful infographics. Renoa, thank you. Good work. Cell, I think Cell's here. Tell was around. Good job there. Hey, thank you, Randall, for the Prime sub. I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it a lot. Well, let's move on to the leading man. Again, this is just a whole month full of favorites for me. And the leading man, Balthier, of course, range damage dealer, dispeller, cleanser, support character. I've always liked his kit. He does have the unique ability to steal buffs from enemies, but he can just cleanse buffs over and over again. He has an FR, and his FR partner is Sid from Final Fantasy VII. Here's the reason, Sid and Balthier. I mean, you might think you know what it is, but I'll tell you the truth. Both are notorious racists. Sid, I just assume he's racist. I don't know that for sure. I mean, just kind of look at him. You kind of figure he's probably racist. And of course, Balthier is involved in the slave trade. So that would make sense that he's a little bit racist. So that's why they're paired together. It's just a different world that they live in than they come from. But his FR, when he triggers it, it's really cool animation. I love that animation. Sid and Balthier doing their stuff. He steals buffs, he removes, he cleanses all the buffs, which actually I think is not as good as it should be. I think it shouldn't cleanse all the buffs. I'll tell you why. Because his damage boosts are range damage, 20%, fine. Attack a target with no buffs on turn, 40%. So pretty much anybody who's doing range damage is going to do 60% damage up, easy enough. But if you remove a buff from an enemy, it jumps up 80%. So the fact that you remove all the enemy's buffs before you trigger the first time does kind of suck. But if you are using Balthier's FR on the few enemies that constantly rebuff, you can hit huge damage numbers with his FR. So that is kind of cool. But again, there's only going to be a few times that that's really going to happen. But when it does happen, it's big, stupid damage. And it's really easy to build a range team around Balthier. So Poto Cedar, what are your thoughts on Belth?
Oh, there's not a miss this whole cycle. I think Balthier is super good, and I feel like they showcased his potential perfectly in his fight. I've seen people go up to easy 900 FR gauge and just massing out the damage. He could be doing a little more damage, but I suppose you're not bringing him for the damage. I don't know how important it's going to be in the future, aside from his BT event, that you'll need to steal somebody's buff or either dispel the enemy, but it's something that I guess our JP players could give a little insight towards. I personally don't know, but I've been enjoying him. Like, there's not a character this month that I was planning on skipping, honestly. What are your thoughts, Joe?
So Balthier, my character guides, I refer to him as a buff debuff manager, and he does those things very well. And these are skills that not a lot of characters have. So for that, I think he's good. He's a very utility character. I would argue that Balthier is a more skippable character. And the reason why is, as you said, he looks really good in his fight, but that's because they really gear the fight towards him. So the enemies are constantly buffing. They're putting a super nasty poison debuff on you that's really, really bad, right? And obviously for his FR, they're constantly rebuffing so that his FR can keep getting his gauge up. But if you think outside of this fight, how often are enemies buffing that aggressively? How often do they have debuffs that are that nasty? So Balthier is a great character when the fight needs it, right? But the question is when you're spending your resources, how often will you actually use Balthier and how much is he needed? Which is why I would argue Aerith is a much better pull for you. She's so generic, fits on any T comp, very good for Crevasse. Now, if you have a bunch of resources, you like Balthier, he's not bad by any means. He is a fantastic character, as Poto said, but the situation needs to call for it. So I would just say be wary of going all out and pulling for Balthier if you don't have the resources to do it.
Excalibur reminding us that you can put Vanille Sphere, I have 3 or 4 of them myself, extras, on off-turn damage dealers to trigger that 80% bonus. So that's a good thing to know. And Carflow does remind us that it cleanses the entire party of debuffs. It only removes 3 debuffs from the enemy. So depending on the number of buffs on the enemy, it will stay up there. Hey, Retro Gamer Dad, how you doing? So yeah, great points. I do agree. I think definitely skippable, but still pretty fun to play. And when he works really well. So as there are several characters. But right now, yeah, Aerith is kind of for the current support on the current banners, really, really quite good. And after talking about how I was going to do the banners, I forgot to do the banners. There we go. We're up to banners, and that leaves us with our final surprise kind of FR. Arden came with Crevasse. Arden. If you're not familiar with Arden, he's a melee attacker. He can take extra turns, free turns when he breaks. He does a lot of instant break, unbreak, rebreak mechanics. He does a little follow-up attack, so he's a follow-up damage dealer. He's oh man. It's just, as Joe was talking about, tiers of damage dealers. And if you got Renoa and Tifa up here and like Terra and Tidus right here, I think Arden's lower for a damage dealer. Now, again, there's always arguments when it comes to Arden's damage that, you're not bringing him just for damage. You're bringing him for his ins break, rebreak mechanics. Unfortunately, he doesn't do anything else, so he is kind of a primary damage dealer, or a super good tank because he's immortal. So I mean, if you can play him off as a tank, I guess you can play him off as a tank. The weird third slot damage dealer, unbreak, break, immortal kind of character, but he gets a yeah, here we go. He gets an FR, and Leon's his partner because they had some story time together and they're super good friends. So that's fun. But his HP damage condition goes up when an ally breaks an enemy on the turn. 40% if it's him doing it, and melee damage on the turn, 20%, 30% if he's doing it. So really kind of sad numbers because if it's not Arden doing it, it's only going to be 40%. If it is, again, you can do off turn, but if it is Arden doing it, this is just on turn, excuse me. So on a non-Arden turn, it's 40%. On an Arden turn, it can be 70%. And those are just lower numbers than we've seen. When Renoa and Tifa and Aerith are doing 80%, he just, that kind of sucks for him. And so, yeah, his even fully maxed, and I have him fully maxed, green, blue, ultimate weapon 5/5, FR fully maxed. I don't have his Jesus costume, so maybe that's why mine sucks. It's just the damage output is just, it's good. It's just not compared to the other damage dealers that we're seeing. So that sucks for Arden. But if you really like the mechanic and you can play around with other characters to help get those extra rebreaks up and let him run his damage up, he's doing fine. Poto, what are your thoughts on Arden?
It's okay. I do think another reason why him and Leon are partners is prior to their respective game, they were both homeless. So I hear.
Yeah.
So there's also that, but I really like some of the Arden's changes that, like, S1 now rebreaks.
Yeah.
The LD also rebreaks on every target, so it helps bring his stats up a lot quicker. But yeah, I feel like he's falling short. He's falling short on a lot of his damage. But unfortunately, like Joe was kind of saying, there, as Tifa and Renoa are like top of their game, there has to be people that just fall short. So Joe, what's your thoughts on Arden?
Yeah, I think Arden's just a character that came out at the wrong time. I think if Arden came out a month and a half ago, he would have been looking a lot better in terms of damage. I think what Defo needs to do is they need to lean into his unique mechanic a bit more. So his big thing is that he's immortal. The problem is it's, and that seems super busted, right? Like, oh my god, he's immortal, but the rest of your party is not immortal.
Yeah.
And powerful enemies do powerful all attacks. And he does nothing to protect your actual party. I don't know why they don't do this. As Mark mentioned, talking about him as a tank, he's not actually a tank. Like, he tanks himself. He's a selfish tank, if that's a thing. But he needs a lock mechanic or he needs a cover mechanic. If you give him a lock or a cover mechanic, then there's a lot more use for this guy. But right now, he's just a mid damage dealer that can't die while the rest of your party dies. So, yeah, not too high on Arden.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the problem. You can put a lock call on him, but the fact that he doesn't have a lock, so he can't, necessarily direct attacks towards him, and he certainly isn't doing any kind of damage prevention or anything else to the party. So solo Arden, yes, that is, we have seen solo Arden plenty of times before, but yeah, it seems to be a just bad timing, as we said, just a little too late. But that being said, I have him fully maxed because he was useful in Crevasse for getting max score, which you don't need to do, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's as we transition, before we talk about Crevasse, several things going on in the community. Again, CSAM, thank you for the subscription. Just subbing again. 39 months, CSAM hanging out with us for 39 months. Really appreciate that, man. Good to see you. But yeah, there's been a lot of going on in the community. I know Poto has some insight on that. So Poto, anything you wanted to share from the community? What's going on in the DeFo community?
Yeah, sure. First, I'm going to share some good news. As everybody from TCC would like to celebrate and wish a happy marriage to Mr. and Mrs. Raw Life, got married over the weekend. So if you're not familiar of who is Raw Life, you probably haven't seen the live stream that streams every Monday. Him, Blartanian, and Leafblade Mouse do an amazing job. Aside from that, I feel like Trevoid and Eamon are still doing a really good job with their MTV challenge. The community has really felt like a whole ever since Greg said no to Dare to Defy. So Trevoid and Eamon have been doing a phenomenal job kind of doing it for their own, and Sinewave has been helping out with graphics. The only other update that I have for the community is, unfortunately, one of the Godfather himself, 40 the Broadway Sand, has said that he is no longer going to stream DeFo contents. He is still going to play the game, but he's going to focus on other games for his streaming and his content creation.
Yeah, so thank you, Poto, for the community spotlight there. Sorry, single people out there. Raw Life is off the market. Don't slide into his DMs. He is unavailable. He is married. He's living in married bliss. Most DeFo content creators are spoken for. Sorry. There's still a few left, but most are single. You're losing your opportunity. And so we're all life's off the market. And we do. Thank Eamon and Treevoid for the MTV challenge. That's join our Discord. You can join that and have some fun with that. They've been enjoying that. And it's been a fun part of the community. And again, 40 still streaming, still making videos, but not going to be doing DeFo content anymore. So shout out to our good friend 40 the Broadway Sand, the godfather of DeFo. Him and Josepher were two of the first people to actually start making content and streaming the game. Even before the game came to global, they were making content for global and guides and trying to shout the game out and build that out. So I think there were some JP folks before them doing the JP version of the game, but for the global version, they've been around the longest, and we were not too far behind them. But it's always sad to see one of those go. But he is, I think, still going to be on with Rez and Lids when they do their monthly fireside chat. So assuming he's still playing, that he'll do that.
Yes, he did confirm he's going to still do Fireside.
Yeah. So, while we're talking about content creation, Poto, or I know you do some content creation, and then Joe, is there anything you want to talk about? Share yourself, things you're doing, things you want to highlight that you've found interesting here this last month or so, or you're looking forward to doing in the future?
Yeah, I just want to say in general, I've really enjoyed doing YouTube. I've been doing it for about a year and a half now. And like I said earlier, I do Dokkan Battle and Opera Omnia. And I got to show it to you, Mark, because I've been a fan of your show, for quite a long time. And I remember I was literally a virtual nobody with like 30 subs, and you like commented on my first Tifa LD poll video. I'm like, oh my God. And like just what an impact that makes just to have somebody like so big in the community just comment on my video. It made me feel like I was somebody, even though I was a nobody. And then just all the positive comments in the community. People comment on my videos and just like, they love the stuff, keep it up. Like, it's generally mostly positive, and really it's the community that keeps me going. And I just really appreciate the community. And I have a Discord that I post all my videos. So if any of you want to jump into my Discord, I really love people, because I'm a teacher, right? So I love teaching people. So I love helping people with team building. I love doing these character guides and teaching, but a lot of people come to my Discord for like help with team building on DeFo and Dokkan Battle, and that's a lot of fun. And I'm not like one of these content creators that's like silent, like in these Discords. Like, I'm active, I'm in there. People tag me all the time. I answer them. I even have people private message me, and I kind of say, all right, keep it to the thing. Like, I can't just take all these, but I respond. I talk to people. So no, just the community has made everything so great, and I feel very blessed, and I've very much enjoyed it, and very happy to be a guest on your podcast, Mark. Awesome. The one official podcast, yeah, right? The one official. The official.
Thank you, Joe. And yeah, we'll make sure we include all the links for Joe and Cedar here with our video, and they probably already are on there as well. But yeah, hey, is it a good time to get involved in Dokkan Battle? I mean, we're going to be talking about end of service for DeFo. Is this a good time? Is this a good time to start playing Dokkan Battle?
It's always a good time to start playing Dokkan. But if you're someone that really wants to capitalize, I mean, Anniversary and Worldwide are the two big celebrations, and we just finished those up. But Dragon Ball superhero stuff is actually coming to Dokkan. We got the Gammas literally dropping like tomorrow.
Oh wow!
And then Dragon Ball Hero stuff is coming, and we're looking at probably maybe Beast Gohan and Orange Piccolo coming very soon. So Christmas, Thanksgiving, it's always a hype time.
I enjoyed that movie quite a bit, so maybe I'll.
Oh, it's very good. The Gammas
are
great.
Yeah, jump on the bandwagon here.
Yeah.
The only unofficial. It is also the only unofficial podcast. Correct. Correct. Hey, we got a supporter quarter question. Poto Cedar puts these together every week for us. What kinds is so if you want to be a member, if you want to sub, become a member on YouTube, you can join our Discord and link up to this. What kind of new bundle paid service would you like to see DeFo implement for you to buy? How can DeFo get your money? So Cedar, Joe, think about that as I read some of the community comments. Sluice says Jegrin swimsuit. I think that's a good sell. Red Cane says early skip tickets. That's going to be a thing for co-op. So early skip tickets. Eamon says 6 times books. Oh, 6 times books. That's a good idea, Gaiman. Final Yin says Ultimate Cores. Yep. Or skip filler content. Nidre says Dare to Defy, except you have to pay real money to unlock it. Yeah, I'd do that. I'd pay money to have Dare to Defy. Lita Freya says Crevasse, but you have to pay to get more conditions to reach max score. I'd do that too. Bishop says Nidre's idea is exactly what I was thinking. JD Terraforce says useless item exchange. Oh, that's a good idea. You can take armor books, ingots, etc., and turn them into tickets or something more useful. BT mats, like, right? That'd be awesome. This is Frog, I believe. Cap raise on resources such as skill enhancement points. Also, pay to make the end game easier, so free to play truly gets the discount. Blind Eye ticket cap increase. Pay to increase your ticket cap to 2,000, 3,000. That would be. Oh, I could see them doing that. It's like, Pokemon Go, where you have to pay, to increase your inventory. You pay to increase your ticket cap. That's a great. They should do that. That would make them so much money. People hoard in this game so bad. Indolent Lart says Amaret costume for every Fist character. Every Fist character has an alternate costume where they're dressed up as Amaret. That's how I take that. That would be great. Anal Manor, new side game monthly pass will let you keep daily rewards even if you skip them. Hey, that's not bad. Seriously though, packs that come with a extra ultimate weapon refund. That'd be interesting. Stray Breed says premium Moogle plus get 10 ticket draw daily and monthly Kubo card. Oh, that'd be nice too. And Soraya says Moogle Pass that gives you quest rewards while doing the bare minimum. Pay to win. Poto, anything that you could think that Squex could implement that would make you really, really sad that you are free to play?
Yes, well, first I'm going to shout out Dystopia Bard in the chat. He says he will pay for a new tactics character. I don't think you'd be able to throw money fast enough to Squex for them to even consider that. I don't think they're going to ever bring us another tactics character.
No.
But my idea is almost like a raid event where there's a goal, where the community all chips in to try to get this goal. And when you get to the goal, we finally get end of service.
Yeah. That's where we go.
DSO2 starts.
Joe, any thoughts on things that could pique your interest when it comes to in-game purchases?
Yeah, I think if you buy the Quistis alternate costume, it should unlock another bundle where you can buy her glasses for her 3D model. So the 100%. 3D model can actually have the glasses on.
100%. Yep.
That's what we need there. But in all seriousness, I want a bundle with 4 stones and high power stones, please.
Yeah. Ooh, that's, I think this Quistis glasses, that is very serious. I would say
why not
99.99
that you can put on characters like if I want to buy Arden's hat and put Arden's hat on Leon because that's why they're buddies. Leon just wants a cool hat, right?
Just needs a better hat.
Yeah, exactly. Or if I want to buy Eris ribbon and put it on another female character, why not? People go gaga for accessories.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for your answers. Again, you can check the Discord, and if you are a Twitch sub or a YouTube member, connect your Discord and those accounts, and you will be accessed to that magical TCC supporter channel, and you can answer your questions. So, Poto, any thoughts about what next week's question? Have you already thought about what next week's question, like a spoiler? We don't usually have you on here to give us spoilers, so do you have thoughts about what next week's question might be?
No. If anything, I may take inspiration from a certain podcast question that we're going to answer later.
Awesome.
But I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, I thought you might. That's okay. Well, hey, we did get an event. We had lots of events, but we're not going to talk about them because who cares? Because the event that we do want to talk about is Crevasse Hallowed Depths. And as you can see, I haven't even touched the token challenge, but I do have max score in Crevasse because I am not a bum. I'm not going to come on a podcast, the officially unofficial official podcast, and not have max score on Crevasse. You damn straight. So, if you're not familiar with Crevasse, this is a global first event. I believe they are getting it in JP finally, but we've had it in GL first, where you have various different fights. I think we got 7 fights total. You get to then choose different codes, kind of like Abyss style, that you can get different score levels depending on the codes that you choose. If you want to get max score, you have to have the best codes or the biggest score codes on the most difficult challenges. So, it's the 3 times... it's the 3 times weapon type, 3 times color type, and then on the 2 Shinryu. And then there are Shinryu force counters and then Lufania orbs that also give you extra points. So, there's 1 Cosmos, because I don't know why. There's 1 Chaos, there's 3 Lufanias, and there was 2 Shinryu fights. Just to go over the 2 Shinryu fights, you fight 2 Defender Zs. These are the robots, the Rubits. Their big thing is, that's a little different than Shinryu's we've had before, is their force gauge increases very, very quickly. So they get their force gauge up very fast. So if you're bringing characters who are not fully force enhanced, you will be out force gauged consistently.